Hello once again, everyone. Thanks for tuning in to another edition of AIW's The Card is Going to Change. Before we get into this week's episode, we of course want to give a shout out to our sponsors that help us bring the show to you for free each and every week on whichever platform you choose to listen. Thanks to Angelo's Pizza. While maybe you can't dine in right now, you can still enjoy Angelo's Pizza as well as the other items on their menu through takeout or delivery. Angelo's on Madison Avenue in Lakewood, Ohio. Thanks to Pollyanna DIY, we've been selling some of the amazing enamel pins that they made for us to you, our fans. But check out Pollyanna DIY for all of the extra things that they do on their own. They got some custom merchandise. They have some old vintage stuff as well. So make sure you give them a follow and check out what they are all about. And thanks to the merger between SmartMark Video and IWTV, watching AIW has never been easier. Maybe you want to watch a show that you were at live and want to watch it back, or maybe you missed a show and you want to watch it. You can buy the DVD or MP4 at smartmarkvideo.com. And you can sign up at independentwrestling.tv using the code ABSOLUTE. Get yourself a 5-day free trial and watch a revolving library of AIW shows as well as other independent wrestling promotions. And don't forget, as of right now, AIW is streaming weekly on IWTV at 10 p.m. With that, we get into this week's episode as the revolving chair continues of guests as we're doing everything kind of in isolation and remotely. We are always joined by AIW owner John Thorne. My name is Steve Guy, your moderator of sorts, and our special guest on today's episode, she, what do we say? Her milkshakes bring all the boys to the yard. She is the plus size Pam Grier. Thick She Langston, Miss Faye Jackson, is in the house.
What up? Hey, Steve, can we talk about your voice real quick?
What's up?
Damn. Well, okay then.
It's getting awkward. We're only about 30 seconds in.
Got some smooth jazz voice. I like that.
I listened to a lot of Barry White growing up, so.
Oh.
I don't have any gray sweatpants, but I wore a gray sweatshirt for you.
Well, thank you, but that doesn't count. I want to see gray sweatpants.
I am wearing gray sweatpants, but this is an audio show, so
Let's let's just jump into that. How did that whole thing come about? Because it became somewhat of a viral sensation that obviously did not happen, based on the circumstances of the world. But was that something that evolved into the show, or was the show planned in advance and you kind of like marketed it that way?
No, it was a complete joke. Like, I think I was just horny one day and...
Just one day.
Well, yeah, this particular day, I decided to treat myself by looking up hashtag Gray Sweatpants on Instagram. And probably was a little drunk as well, not gonna lie. So, as I was doing that, I just sent out a tweet saying it should be a Gray Sweatpants Battle Royal with wrestlers. It was a joke. I did not think this was going to be a show at all. But then as more people started like tweeting about it and making more comments about it, then I had people that were actually running shows in Tampa that said, hey, we got a ring, we have a venue, if you want to go ahead and run this show, you got the green light. And I even said then I was hesitant, like, no, it was just a joke. I wouldn't be responsible for running a show. I'm already got tied up with bookings that like 3-4 bookings a day, and then to come out and do a show on whatever day, I don't think so. But it took some convincing from people saying, hey, this show's going to be different. It's going to be, I guess, geared towards ladies and men that like men, as I said, it. So,
obviously.
And I just started asking people that I knew that, I kind of figured would fit the requirements of the show. Like, hey, you actually do have to wear gray sweatpants, but do you want to be a part of the show?
Did people have to try out for you in private?
Some of them did, yes.
Oh, wow.
I'm not going front on that. Yes, some of them did, and some of them got booked because of it.
Wow. Were people like, hey, involve me? And you're like, you weren't feeling it, and then they said, "Hey, check this out"?
No, it wasn't even that. The way you got booked is you have to be a trained wrestler. Like, automatically, that I'm not putting any old fool in the ring, because at the end of the day, I'm a trained wrestler. I went to school, had to pay for the bullshit, so you gotta do the same thing. And take a picture of yourself in gray sweatpants. Let me see what you're showing or not showing.
What's that guy? What's that guy's name? You wouldn't have booked Lexington Steel if he would have reached out. Is that guy's name?
He could come to the show, but he wasn't going to step foot in the ring.
What would your role have been? I'm
I
assuming
was
that you
going to
wouldn't.
sit there and enjoy the show.
Would you have been like would you have been the ring announcer? Like, you had to be like a master of ceremonies somehow.
No. That week, let me tell you, WrestleMania weekend, that week I had 6 shows. And
Wow.
I had shows like back to back to back. That Saturday, I had planned on going to Effie's brunch. And then my show that evening, I didn't plan on doing a damn thing.
Would you have at least like walked out and been like, "Hey guys, I'm Faye. Welcome to Faye Jackson's Gray Sweatpants Battle Royal"?
Maybe if I would walk to my seat, like.
I mean, it's got your name on it. You gotta show yourself.
Look, I did have a chair out. The way it was laid out, I did have a chair. It was set up like a throne.
I was gonna say, I hope it was like a throne.
Me. Yes.
Yeah.
So you would have seen that I was there, but as far as me being involved, actually being involved in the show, I didn't need to be.
Right.
Well, so were you like the promoter? Did you negotiate the deals? Were you, you know, like doing all the business?
Yes.
How was that? Because a lot of
not fun.
A lot of wrestlers, you know, like let's talk about that for a second, because a lot of wrestlers, they don't have to deal with that much business. It's like they're their own corporation, and it's like, hey, I want this much money. That's it. But when you have to manage, you know, you're doing a battle royal, so like who knows how many talents you had to manage. There's a, you know, that budget can get out of hand pretty quick. Was that overwhelming for you?
That, in the sense of trying to get sponsors and making sure that everyone got paid, because at first I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have 30 guys, and then I'm gonna do a couple of matches, and this is gonna be like in a 2.5 hour timeline. And then as I started like looking at the budget of the show, and then I'm like, damn,
it gets out of control pretty easy.
Yeah.
And I don't think, you know, and that's honestly like one of the reasons why I even started this podcast, because, you know, for a long time it was always the promoter's fault, and that's just the way it was. But I don't think wrestlers understand how much money has to go out just for them to come out and have a, you know, 7-minute match. And I do think that the wrestlers that try to promote or, you know, get involved with it, like for instance, you were going to do this one special show, I think it's kind of an eye-opening experience.
Oh yeah, I was stressed out, because trust me, when I tell you, if this show would have gone down the way it did go down, and everything still would have came out perfect, and that's why any money that was made from the show, if it was a profit from the show, I was going to give the money to Planned Parenthood, because my thing was, I had already, just from the bookings that I was getting that weekend and from the merchandise that I could have sold that weekend, I was going to be set regardless. So I really didn't need the money. And plus, I work full time for a living. So, you know, for me, money isn't everything. I just wanted to put on a good ass show. But it was going to be a one and done. Trust me. Y'all can have this promoter thing, because Lord have mercy. When I tell you, I had like a couple of people that dropped out. So I'm trying to scramble and hurry up and find like replacements. Luckily, I didn't announce them yet. But I will say it wasn't hard to find replacements. But at the same time, it's just like,
it's stressful.
Yeah, and then who would have thought, like, it could have been the day of, and people could have dropped out.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say. Imagine, so put yourself in the scenario where it's not WrestleMania weekend, and you don't have 300 wrestlers within driving distance. When you got to find that replacement day of, that is the most stressful thing a promoter could go through.
And that's why I wanted to do it WrestleMania weekend, because people are like, oh, you can do it around this time. You can run it for this show. You can run it at this venue. And I'm like, no, not because I'm thinking budget-wise. everybody's already going to be there, so I ain't got to pay for travel. But I at least want to get the wrestlers paid no matter what role they play. Like, I had a couple people that was just going to do a run-in. So it wasn't really going to be 30 people in the Battle Royal. It was going to be like 35, 36. It was going to be an actual, like, show of a thing. But I don't care if you stepped in. As soon as you step foot in that ring, you were getting paid.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's. I just think it's very interesting to get your perspective on the whole thing because, you know, everyone is like, you know, fans and wrestlers and, you know, everyone's like, they're just like just going crazy, getting stir crazy, wanting wrestling to come back, you know, based on this quarantine and everything that's going on in the world. And I'm sitting back and I'm feeling the most relaxed I've felt in years, maybe my whole life. I'm just like, I'm enjoying it. You know, like I feel like my brain has been, you know, like refreshed and it's like I hit the reset button. But I just don't think fans and a lot of wrestlers understand like just how much stress goes into it. So I thought that's the first thing I wanted to talk to you about is I wanted to know how involved you were with the Gray Sweatpants Battle Royal show and if you were stressed out. And knowing that you were stressed out, it makes me as a regular promoter feel a little bit relieved, you know?
I will say, I will thank the people that got me the venue and got me the ring. So I didn't have to worry about setting up a ring. I didn't have to worry about the cleaning. I didn't have to worry about actually getting a venue. But I could only imagine.
That's a whole other problem in itself. Yeah.
So just booking the show alone stressed me out because not only am I having to promote, because I'm still like, well, at that point I was injured, but I still had to promote different shows that either I was going to be on or trying to like, I had a show that I was going to make a comeback on. And I still had to do these promos. I still had to do things that wrestlers have to do in order to get the, you know, people know that I'm coming back out there. But at the same time, I'm still got to promote this big ass show. And I got to make sure that other people are promoting this big ass show. Because, you know, that's another thing with wrestlers.
Wrestlers aren't so good about promoting.
Exactly. And I learned that too. I can promote my own shit. I'm sorry. Can I curse?
Yeah.
Get X-rated, Faye.
Yeah, you're already getting horny right out from the beginning, talking about my smooth vocals.
You already said guys had to send dick pics just to get booked on the show, so I mean, we're way past that.
But I'm trying to promote my own shit as a wrestler, and then I got to promote the show as a promoter. Now I got like 30 plus people on the show. I got to make sure they promote it too.
I'm loving this because these are the struggles of my life every single month. You know, hey, can you do this promo? Yeah. 4 weeks later, you'll get a promo the day of the show while the person's driving in their car, you know, to get there, and you don't even have time to post it. Like, wrestlers are just very... I love wrestlers, but, like, they are... A lot of them are just... They have a totally just... a personality that you can't explain to a regular person. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a wrestling person, you understand the wrestling mentality so easily. But, like, there's a reason why probably a lot of these people aren't in corporate America. You know what I mean?
And I get that. Someone that has a degree in PR, like, if you tell me as a wrestler to do a promo, guess what I got to do? Because people want to... You booked me for a reason. Right. So...
And it adds value to yourself.
And you know what? For some reason, wrestlers don't get that at all. And I don't get it. I don't know if it's because I know high school ain't teaching people stuff like that, but I don't know if it's they need to take a college course real quick, just pay for one, just learn how to promote your brand. Because as a wrestler, you are a brand.
Exactly.
I don't get why people don't understand that.
And there's a reason why, you know, if you look, and I use this example all the time, but, you know, there's a reason why Danhausen is probably selling a lot more T-shirts than, you know, random independent wrestler right now because he markets himself.
And Warhorse.
Right, and FE, and there's a whole list of guys that are going out above and beyond that have marketed themselves that people don't even necessarily even know how they wrestle. You know what I mean? They've just found a way to be engaging with social media, and, you know, it makes an additional revenue stream for everyone if you just put effort in. Like, I do think that the days of just being a good wrestler are behind us if you want to make money. I think the expectation is everyone could have a good match within their skill set, they know how to do it at this point. Like the fans have such a higher expectation than they used to, like so many years ago. So you have to do something different. And promos, and when you do promos and you become engaging, you sell more T-shirts, you sell more merchandise, you make more money. And if it's someone like you said, you have a regular job, that supplemental income is like, it can be life-changing.
I'm just saying, my Patreon is lit. Matter of fact, a quick plug real quick. If you want to hit up the Patreon, patreon.com/Faye Jackson 419. Hey, I'm happy about my Patreon. Trust me.
You know, we've gotten into the Patreon game, and I'm sure it's nowhere near as I'm sure it's nowhere near as risque as maybe yours might be. But you know, we've even seen a lot of support through Patreon because it is a way to just give your fan base special content and really engage with them. And, you know, as a promotion, you know, we found it a way to make a couple $100 more a month, which is so helpful. And I'm sure for you as a wrestler, you know, like it is, that's another life-changing thing.
All I can say is thank you to my Patreons that have subscribed.
What's on there? Let's sell me on it. What's on there?
Give us the 411 or the 419.
It's actually the first look of my photo shoots, and it's the behind the scene photos of the photo shoots. It's behind the scene videos. I talk to my Patreons. I ask them what they want to see, as long as it's not nude. I mean, I'm up for it. I do Q&As. I do special discounts on my merchandise for them. Like today, I ran a 20% off sale because it's 419 day, but my Patreons get 30 to 40% off of all the merchandise.
Right.
And that's regardless. So, you know, that's my Patreon. I know some other people, they just, you know, post random things or like fitness tips and things like that. I'm a fat ass girl. I ain't about to be posting telling you how to work out. Like, I do my workout, and if anything, don't listen to me. So when it comes to stuff like that,
I think this question will be a good transition to what makes you and AIW so special. Is Twan Tucker a patron?
I don't believe so, unless he's using an alias or something. But no, he's not.
I don't know, Twan. I don't know if Twan could even figure out. No offense to Twan, I don't know if he could even figure out how to use Patreon. To be perfect,
his sweetheart might have the lookout on his on, you know, what he's subscribing to. You never know.
Exactly. Look, I don't want no smoke, but I love Twan.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that, because you know, you've done quite a few. I'm trying to think, where did I even meet you? Did I meet you in Chicago, maybe?
I think so. Yeah.
And Biggins just fell right in love with you.
Yeah,
I still have Biggins in my heart every day. I still think about him all the time. I still have his pin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I met you at the first Rise, maybe, but like maybe I met you before that, but I believe I met you at the first Rise. I'm not sure.
I think it was the first one.
Yeah, and
because I was definitely one and done with that situation.
Okay.
Well, all right. Okay.
Shoot interview with Faye Jackson.
Yeah.
No, it's not a shoot. Some places I fit in at, and you know, some places I don't.
And I do think that you fit in quite well with AIW.
Oh yeah,
and you know, it's you're not on every show, but I feel like every time you come, it's like you haven't missed a show. You know what I mean? And like,
if I was closer, trust me, I would try to get on every show.
Yeah, and I mean, let's talk about that. So you have Ohio roots, correct?
Yes.
I don't know how many people are aware what that 419 stands for.
Yeah.
Toledo all day.
And that's where you're from?
Born and raised.
And went to Akron University, correct?
Yep, University of Akron. So I'm a Zip for life. So I know about the Cleveland area.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I know you know about the Cleveland area, because every time you're booked for AIW, you ask if you can go on early because you got some kind of club set up or something. You know. It's like it's like AIW is just like a stop on the way to your social gathering for the night.
I mean,
what's the Faye Jackson?
She goes to
Faye
Secret
Jackson club favorite.
What do you go to? Secret Social Club or something at Touch? Is that what it's called?
Yes, actually,
Touch Supper
that's where I
Club.
go to Touch.
Yeah,
Touch Supper Club. Oh yeah. All right. You go down in the downstairs. They got the music playing.
I think it's called Secret Soul Club. Maybe it's called something else, but I know that
it's a different thing, like every weekend or something there. So it depends on what it is.
Faye's always like, well, I got to get going. Intermission's over. I sold my merch, and
And it's not even the fact that I love Dorn. I love you dearly. And Steve Guy, I love you too. I love AIW. I love the fans that come to AIW. Cleveland will always be in my heart. Akron's always in my heart. And with that being said,
you got to go and see your people.
I have to go see my peoples and they come to the shows.
They do.
They come to the shows when I'm there, but they're like, "All right, bitch."
I'll never forget. I'll never forget your first. I'll never forget your first AIW show. It was a girls' night out, and
was it the last girls' night?
It might have been the last one. I don't know, but I swear your entire family that was within driving distance showed up. Your mom had a customized jacket on, I believe. Bedazzled out Faye Jackson.
Yep.
I think it's Faye Jackson's mom on it or something.
Yes, it did. And
it was the best.
She came in with a milkshake cup, but I told her to go to Steak and Shake and bring me a milkshake. And Biggin stopped her at the door, and I remember her telling me this.
He probably asked for your hand in marriage.
Biggin stopped my mom at the door and was like, "Hey, you can't bring any food in here." And then my mom, being my mother, is like, "Do you know who I am?" And pointed at her jacket, and it said Faye Jackson's mom on it.
He probably let her go right there. He probably said, "Okay, go on through, Mrs. Jackson."
And my mom always paid for front row seats and never sat front row. That's that awesome. Show, she sat front row, but other than that, she would always pay for a front row seat, but sit in the back somewhere.
Yeah, that was funny. I will never forget that. And you fit in quite well with everybody. And before we get into Chwan's infatuation with you, we have to get in. This is going to be a theme of this show because so many people have just fallen in love with Faye Jackson in the greater Cleveland area. You have Biggins, you have Chwan, but you also have the legendary Razor Sharp, who is who was very very smitten with you as well.
Yeah, that's accurate.
I wish I was recording the video because your face was legendary right there.
You are absolutely correct. Hey, he's a cool dude. He has a promotion too, doesn't he?
Yeah, he booked you for it.
UXWA. What's the name of it?
UXWA.
Yes, UXWA. Yeah, he booked me and Britt Baker. We were like the first women's match there.
And it is on YouTube, and it is their most watched YouTube video by thousands and thousands.
Imagine that. Imagine.
I mean, because Britt Baker's in it. That's why it wasn't me.
Nah, it's probably a combination there.
I think it's a combo, But Razor Sharp, he was ready to give you the full-time contract at the UXWA.
Yeah, but me coming back and forth to Cleveland every other weekend wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, you had to turn down that contract. I'm sure the first of many contracts you've turned down in your life.
She doesn't care about the contracts,
I don't care about the contracts. Just give me my shmoney. Give me my shmoney.
Yeah, wow. I mean, you don't need that. You don't need that contract money. You got the Patreon, right?
Hello. I'm just saying.
But
a lot of foot weirdos on that Patreon.
No, I'm sure they're all
nice gentlemen. I don't call my patrons weirdos. Come on.
All right,
now.
that's fair.
They're all gentlemen, and last but not least, well, I'm sure there's probably several other people who have fallen in love with Faye Jackson in the Cleveland area. But let's get into Twan Tucker, because this became such a playful joke to kind of embarrass Twan and just kind of rib him backstage. And it got so far until you guys got booked in a match. And man, what did that match exceed all expectations, I think, of all involved. Maybe I'm wrong, but I would guess that it probably even exceeded your expectations of what it could be, because I've never seen something that was booked as a joke, just like, hey, this is like a show at a bar. We're just gonna have fun. Let's do this to mess with Twan a little bit. And it was amazing. One of my favorite matches of the year, easily.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
And let's just talk about, I want to hear your perspective on how we even get to this point, because it kind of was your idea.
Yeah, I kept saying, book me versus Twan. How many times did I ask you?
A lot.
A lot. And you were vocal on Twitter about it, too.
Yeah, versus, and I got people behind me on it.
And I thought that maybe it was a joke, because I don't know how many people know this or not, but Twan was being a little flirtatious with you on the internet and would always kind of play along with the joke, so to speak, until his girlfriend found out.
Yeah.
And that became a whole other thing. So a part of me thought when you were requesting the match, you were just being a little, playful with Twan and joking around. But
yes, absolutely. I'm not going to front on that one. Yes.
But then it was like I said, it was a joke. And then somewhere along the lines, it became a reality. And a lot of it was on you constantly messaging me and saying, like, no, I want to do this. Let's do this. And finally, I gave in on it. And I swear, if you are listening to this right now and you've not watched Faye Jackson versus Twan Tucker from Little Guido's Beer Bash, you need to seek that out and watch it, because it is one of the most magical things I've ever seen in pro wrestling. I swear. It was, this was, honestly, I swear, it was booked for all the students to just kind of like mess with Twan and embarrass him and kind of make him, Twan's kind of a shy guy. Back, when he's back amongst the wrestlers in the locker room, he's very reserved and quiet. And, everybody would mess with him about his crush on Faye Jackson. And once I gave in on this was just kind of throwing gasoline on that fire for everyone to mess with Twan. And like, oh, Twan, you're about to be in there with Faye, and like nobody had any expectation it was going to be anything. And this match, I swear to God, made me get behind Twan as a talent. Like, based more on anything else he did up until that point, this match made me go, wow, Twan really could be something.
When it came down to us actually having a match, I had Twan. First of all, let me say Twan was 100% respectful. So there was nothing he didn't.
You were not, but he was.
Of course not. But lewd, crude, nothing. I had, because I think it was Twan's first year in, I want to say.
Yeah, oh yeah, probably. Yeah, I think it's about his first year.
It was coming up on like his 1 year anniversary, I think, maybe. So
I had Twan call the match. I had him say, I asked him, I was like, what do you want to do? What's your finisher? I'm going to have you call this match, and I'll just pinpoint what the hell I'm doing. And in the meantime, just know we going to tell a story. I'm all about any match that you have seen probably in the past year or two. I'm all about telling a story in the ring.
And boy, did you tell a story on this night.
Sure did.
I'm like, all I want for you to do is resist me, because people in the back, everybody knows that you have this huge crush on me, and I'm going to play on it.
And
That's
fans kind of knew a little bit based on this podcast. Fans knew a little bit. Like we had kind of joked around a little bit about it. So it wasn't like really out there, but like it was a little bit out there. So fans really took to this.
Right. So that's all I needed Twan to do. I was like, just try to resist me, because I'm going to throw everything at you. Literally throw everything at you.
And what Twan does so good, better than probably 95% of the active wrestlers in the world, is his facial reactions.
Are everything.
Oh my God.
They're amazing. And he could not have been more dead on this night.
That photo from when you guys are in the crowd and he's on the chair and you give him the lap dance, just the look on his face then, and his arms are just off to the side.
I put it on a shirt. I asked Twan's permission. I was like, I'll send you a shirt too, if I can use this photo, because it's so good. It's so good.
So good. This match is just it was so good, and this, like you said, you told a story, and the story was
It's
amazing.
steamy romance novel.
Yeah, it was a steamy romance novel. That's for sure. But the crowd was just, they bit everything. They bit for everything, hook, line, and sinker, and that is a credit to you. And you knew the story that needed to be told. There's no way. I would put $1 million on it that Twan never would have called any of that stuff that you called, like the lap dance and all the other stuff. Because like you said, Twan is a respectful guy, and there was no way that he was going to disrespect you by even like insinuating any of that stuff. But that stuff that was a little rude and crude that you brought to the table made the match. Like it was amazing.
Well, thank you. It's one of my favorite matches to this day, mainly because the way Twan sold it. Like he doesn't get enough. When this Rona is over, I need for Twan to just be booked everywhere. And I yelled at him beforehand because I was like, you, especially after I had his NXT thing, I was like, you need to be telling people that you are accepting bookings. But then when he told me he didn't have a car, I was like, well, hello. Either get a car, save up, get a car, or ride with people. Ride with Dom somewhere. Like, you got people that's around you that's in Cleveland. Just ask if you can ride to a show with them. You can chip in with gas, just something. But, sometimes some wrestlers got to learn too.
Yeah. And like, there's a lot of those guys that come to the school and they don't have a license or they don't have a car, and I'm just like, you're gonna have a much tougher road than the guy that has the car, because all the veteran wrestlers, they want somebody that will drive them places, and then that's just how the game works. And luckily for Twan, he is probably the most beloved wrestler in Cleveland, so he does get a lot of opportunities to hop in the cars with people and stuff like that, but not as much as as a wrestler. If you are a individual person that has a car and you can go anywhere, you don't have to rely on anybody. That is much more beneficial.
But I'm hoping at least 2021, I see Twan Tucker's name at a lot more places.
Yeah, and he's very good. He's very talented. Like, besides this match, he has really come into his own as a performer, and I do credit a lot of the match you had with him in giving me confidence in him. Because he was not the same performer that he was before that match that he became after that match. And I think, he realized that he does not have to overthink things so much. And, he figured out what works for him. And, he finally started to kind of put it all together.
Sometimes that's what it takes. I mean, you're going to have your wrestlers that do all the moves. I'm a big bitch. I'm not about to be doing all the moves, but I will try to. Something that I was taught by the Lizard is to tell a story.
Lizard Man,
is if I can't do all these moves, at least try to sell me on a story on why you have a matchup with somebody. Because some people may know the background, some people may not know the background, but this is a perfect opportunity to tell a story with someone.
And Let's get into that a little bit. Like, what is your backstory? What leads you to being a pro wrestler? Where do you train? Let's kind of bring everybody up to speed on the Faye Jackson origin story.
Well, the Faye Jackson origin story, I started off as a manager at FTW with Earl Cooter.
Cooter, yeah.
Yeah. He trained me on how to take bumps so I can walk out Grim Reaper to the ring.
How did you wind up out there? Because you are an Ohio girl. How do you wind up out on the East Coast?
Well, I took a job out here years ago at MetLife Stadium, and was working full time there for a little bit, but then transitioned to another job in New York City. And while I was in New York City, I would go to the independent shows out here. I used to go to the Ring of Honor shows when it was at the Manhattan Center, and I'll be the only person. I would just go alone. And then I actually went to a FTW show, and I don't want to say it was Cooter, but it was definitely somebody on Cooter's team that came up to me and was like, it was a show in Queens, and he was just like, are you enjoying the show? And I thought he was just trying to hit on me,
creep
or something.
on you a little bit.
Yeah.
Because everybody falls in love with Faye Jackson.
And he was like, what brought you to this show? I was like, I just Google search independent shows that's going to be in New York City. I seen that this was running on a Saturday night. I don't have nothing to do. I just came. And he's like, well, you got a lot of eyes on you. Have you ever thought about getting into this? And my thing was like, hell no. Like, no, I'm a watcher. I'm not going to be, like, trying to get into wrestling. But, you know, he gave me the information to Cooter School. I stopped by a couple of times just to watch him. And, you know, the first time, I want to say, like, the first couple of weeks I actually decided to get in the ring, I was just like, no, like, I don't want to do this. Like, this is hard.
Yeah.
I don't know how to take a bump. I don't want to fall. I don't want to get hit. Like, this is crazy. But he's like, you got to get in this business somehow. So I started off from being just like a raffle ticket seller.
Oh, yeah.
Wow,
Yeah, I did. Oh,
Really working your way up the ladder.
Yeah.
I went from being a
Raffle girl Faye
seller to collecting tickets at the door, to Reefer was finally like, yo, like, why are you doing this shit? You need to be walking me out to the ring. And then he pulled Cooter to the side like, hey, she's walking me out to the ring. Okay, all right. So then I was a part of the show. Cooter gave me the name Big Booty Trudy, so I went with that. I went with that. The more I got involved with the shows, once Reefer showed me how to bump properly, how to take moves properly, not give them, but actually, like, somebody's going to give me a drop kick, like, learn how to, like, protect their face, learn how to land, things like that. Learn how to take a power bomb from somebody. Like, he showed me how to take these moves properly. But then, after a while, he was just like, yo, you need to learn how to wrestle, but, don't do it here. So, so he was just like, and plus I had at that time my job had laid me off, and I had took a job in Philly. So he was like, if you're going to go down to Philly, he gave me a couple of schools. He's like, go to CZW or go to Chikara or go to Ring of Honor. And I was like, I always went to Ring of Honor shows. So I'll just see what they're talking about. So I emailed the Ring of Honor dojo. They got back to me immediately. And Delirious was like, well, the new class starts in, I want to say it was 2015, January 2015. And that was when I started to train to be a actual wrestler, not just taking bumps. But he just was like, yo, you're going to be a wrestler. Because I told him the same thing, like, yo, I'm a manager. I know how to take bumps, but I'm not for sure about actually getting in the ring to do wrestling. And he's like, he looked at me. He was like, no, you're going to wrestle. I was just like, okay, we'll take it from there. And he baby stepped me the whole way. So I'll give him credit for that. Like, I still have my notebook to this day of all the notes that I took from every day that I went to training with him. And like, I want to say 2016 is when I actually had my first match.
How was that? Was it nerve-wracking? Were you nervous?
It was, Ring of Honor had just got this brand new set, and he told me my first match was going to air on TV. Oh, and shit. Yeah, and my first match was going to be against ODB. So it was like boom, boom, boom. I was like, oh my God, why? That was the first thing came out of my mouth. Why? He's like, what do you mean why? I'm like, my first match is going to be on TV.
That's crazy.
Wrestling ODB, like, yeah. Why? No, like, don't do this to me. I'm scared. I was scared probably like a month up into the whole thing. And then when I got to Nashville, Lord, I wanted to shit a brick. And that match is still on YouTube for some reason.
I'm gonna have to seek that out after
we'll have
this.
to watch that.
So,
Did it go okay though?
Yeah, did it go okay?
I guess it went okay for like a first match.
Right. So, okay, I'll ask you this: at what point do you go from a nervous first match Faye Jackson to Twitter after dark Faye Jackson?
Which about that real quick, I was gonna be mad that I was not approached to ring announce the Gray Sweatpants Battle Royal, but after this whole Twitter after dark thing happened,
gotta try out, brother.
I was, after certain ring announcers on Twitter after dark, I was like, you know what, I'm not offended anymore.
Okay, well, I will say with the Gray Sweatpants show, everybody that was actually involved in the show, like as far as ring announcing, doing commentary, and like the special enforcers, were all women. So you weren't going to get the job
okay.
anyway. So
That's
no
girl
offense,
power.
but it was all women. That's who I wanted.
But
But
like what I'm saying is you
were very shy and timid.
When wrestlers get involved in wrestling, it's very hi, nice to meet you, like very quiet, like everyone's very nervous, everyone's very reserved. When does the transition happen for you?
When did the transition happen for me? Well, with Ring of Honor, we had to do like they wanted me.
Well, especially bubbly. Yeah, like I'm sure Ring of Honor would not approve of the Faye Jackson of today.
They wanted me even to have though we loved that bubbly, match, like personality, so that's why I had on the pink suit. I had got it custom made and things like that. They wanted me to just be like this big bubbly, hey type black girl in a sense, and that's me in a sense, but not really. Like I can put on the big bubbly personality, but if you actually talk to me, like in a locker room or something, you're gonna be like, okay, like she's cool, but dang, Faye, your mouth is wild.
Right.
Because I could talk shit with the best of them, trust and believe, but it's just that wasn't Faye Jackson. Isn't that Faye Jackson isn't big and doesn't have this big bubbly personality. Faye Jackson is a creep. All her fans are creeps, so. That's why I call them the Creep Squad, and we have the Creep Life because they are creeps, and I appreciate my creeps. So I'm gonna keep adding on to the creeps, and that just it just works out for me.
But when did you like? When did that happen? When were you like fuck it? Like when are you like fuck it? I'm just gonna be me.
Probably last year. Okay. I would say. I'm trying to think of the best way to put it. Last year I was touring a lot with a certain company.
Okay.
And they wanted me to portray a role of not someone that they already had on their roster, right, but someone similar. So every time they would critique me, they will say, oh, well, she wears a full suit and we think you're showing a little too much skin. So can you get a full suit? And I was like, yeah, I can go do that. Because, if you want the job, you're going to do what they tell you.
Right.
But then it's like you keep doing all this stuff that they want you to do and it led to nowhere. And that was kind of my breaking point. It's like, all right, you wanted me to do this. I had to travel here for you. I had to do this for you. I had to do all this stuff for you to still tell me no.
Just kind of sick of like chasing that dangling carrot, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so,
when you're like,
you went and chased some other dangling carrots on the internet.
So in a sense, I kind of just had like it kind of broke me, and I was just like this is the job that I wanted. I'm trying to do everything and show you everything that I can do, but y'all.
It's like you were losing yourself, it sounds like a little bit.
Exactly. And it wasn't me. Like, I'm trying to be what you want me to be, but at the end of the day, I still wasn't good enough. So now that I'm broken to the 0%, only thing I can do is stop pretending to be someone that I'm not.
And kind of find yourself again, because it is hard, and you do see it a lot. And, you know, I'm sure you've seen people that have gone on to get that contract and they were one way when you knew them before, and now you run into them again and it's like you're talking to like a robotic person.
Yep.
Like you can't have, like, they think that there is a camera or a microphone around at all times and you can't have a real conversation with, and it's not everybody, but I have seen it over the years. It's like, you know, it's like a weird brainwashed thing to where it's like, you know, some people just conform so much that they just don't know how to like revert back to normalcy. So I could see how something like that could break you when you were doing everything that was asked of you and you still did not get that, you know, that sign your name to this piece of paper.
Right.
And, you know, move and let's do something. So, do you think that it was a relief once you finally were just like, fuck it?
Yes, 100%. Because now it's kind of like, in a sense, that now that I am being who I am and I don't have to, I can wake up in the morning and I'm like, I'm going to say this today. But then I don't have to look at my phone and be like, well, should I say this? It's like, oh, this is what I'm saying. Tweet, goodbye. Like, this is who I am. And I'm happy that I'm able to portray who I really am. And it's actually helped me out a lot more than trying to be like this still big bubbly girl that everybody wanted me to portray. Because it's like, oh, well, now she's really different. Because now she's a creep and she's talking about sex and dicks and all types of stuff. And we don't expect anyone to say anything like that because it's wrestling. This is like wrestling. Well, you're not supposed to talk about that. You're just supposed to talk about wrestling. Well, hello, I have a life too, and I like, I'm a human, and I like sex, and I like alcohol. I like an edible from time to time, and and I like to just, you know, be me. I like to have fun, and at the same time, I like to get my coins. And there ain't a human out there that is perfect. Trust and believe me on that. Like, we all have a vice. We all have a story to tell. Sometimes if you're just yourself, you just feel a lot better.
And you know, like, I do think that there is somewhat of like this society that is like, it wants to shame all of these things, and it's like, oh, like this person cheated on their wife, so like that makes them a bad performer or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's,
like, what's it got to do with anything?
It has nothing to do with that. Like, you know, like I see a lot of like the cancel culture things, and it's like, you know, like wrestler X did this thing that has offended everybody, and it's just like, you know, that really doesn't make me think that his matches or her matches were not as good as I remember. You know what I mean? Like, that does not change them as a performer to me. And I think that so many people, fans especially, are just way too caught up in that because, like, you know, like, imagine the 80s. Imagine if there's a Twitter in the 80s, how many of your favorite wrestlers would have been pieces of complete shit, you know? And like, but that does not change, you know, my views on them as them as the performer, them doing their job. Like, what people do when they're not doing their job, I don't really give a fuck about. But I do think that there is, and I've talked to some other wrestlers about this on this podcast and, you know, a lot in person as well. I do think that there is a lot of power in embracing being an independent wrestler. And I think that that mindset was almost extinct for a while because so many people were getting contracts at such a rapid rate that it almost became like indie wrestlers did not want to be indie wrestlers. They wanted to be indie wrestler for a short time in which they become a contracted wrestler. And they did nothing to stand out really and make a career as an independent wrestler. They wanted to be a side wrestler. And I do think that, especially now with people like you and, you know, Danhausen and all the others that we talked about earlier, there is something great when you change your mindset from I want to be a contracted wrestler to I want to be an independent wrestler, and you take it seriously like a job, and you kind of get those preconceived, like, I need to conform to get this contract. You get all those notions out of your head, and you focus on being an independent wrestler. I think that there is so much money to be made if people believe in themselves. And you are one that I know that it took a lot of the system somewhat breaking you down, but I think now you're realizing, like, hey, I can, you've talked about your Patreon and all your bookings and all this other stuff. Like, I think you're finally realizing, like, hey, it isn't bad to be an independent wrestler.
And it's not. I will say, when it comes to, going back to what you said earlier, as far as people, because even I got called out a couple of times, but as long as you're not a racist, a homophobe, or overall just piece of shit, then, try to keep, it's hard to separate your life and your business, but at the same time, if your personal life really affects your business, then maybe, and that's in general, that's not just wrestling, like, that's just in general, like, if you're a piece of shit in real life, then maybe you need to get your life in order so your business won't be affected by that. But
I just do think, like, sometimes people are too concerned with, like, canceling, and like I said,
cancel culture is real.
You probably had plenty of people offended just by the Gray Sweatpants thing, it's just like, come on, everybody, relax. Like, it's harmless, and like some of the stuff is harmful. I admit that, but a lot of it is just like, it's just, for me, like, if I like somebody as a performer, I like them as a performer. I don't hang out with these people. You know what I mean? Like, they don't enter my real life for the most part.
Right, because at the end of the day, they're doing their job. Just try, it's hard to do for a lot of them, but it's like, try to separate if you want to be a wrestler, be a wrestler. Try to not incorporate your personal life.
Yeah, you have to treat it like a brand, and like,
going back to that conversation, you are a brand.
I tell all the AIW students, like, very early on, I try to live my life like a pie chart. I got my wrestling life, I got my regular life, I have my personal life, and I try not to have any of that crossover, and it works well for me, and like, I don't have a lot of problems. But some people, they just throw it all out there on Twitter, and it's like, it's a mess.
Yeah. Well, it's like, to use Danhausen as an example again, when you see him tweet, he is tweeting as Danhausen. Every single thing he does. And you're not hearing about his regular day-to-day.
You're not hearing about Donovan.
You don't know anything about Donovan. It's all Danhausen stuff.
What I love about Faye Jackson is the fact that people have accepted the fact that she is a creep. And there are creeps out there that actually like to hear stuff that she likes to say.
Right.
Now, Farron, on the other hand, because I will give you the government, Farron, on the other hand, has a full-time job. It does not cross wrestling into her personal business life.
That is the hard thing to juggle. I will recommend this for any wrestler out there. At my job, I went and found as many people as I could that worked at my job on social media, and I blocked them from all social media accounts.
And trust me, it's hard, especially the bigger that my name has been getting on the independent scene. There are a couple of people that watch wrestling at my job, and I act like I don't know nothing about it.
Yeah.
I don't know, because I don't want them to discover who Faye Jackson is.
But you don't want them seeing that Twan Tucker match.
Especially that one.
Which I will say,
answering questions.
as you talk about, like, 2019 being the year kind of like of self-discovery of Faye Jackson, selfishly, I think that AIW was a great coming out party for that, between the Twan Tucker match, and then on the heels of that, we get Faye Jackson at Wrestle Rager, and that was another one for the creeps.
That was that one does not get as much love as the Twan Tucker one, but I believe when I was watching that live, I even said, this one's making me feel a little uncomfortable, I think.
Well, that one, I would definitely say that was mainly Alley Cat, too. Alley Cat, I think you guys helped her with the GCW role. I love GCW, but I'm not going, no. I can't do cut open
like
stuff.
The death match stuff. Yeah.
I can't like I got power bombed through some chairs and my back hurt for a week. So I'm good on that. Like, I have much respect to my girl Alley Cat because she is like balls out with it right now.
But there was some weird shit. There was the ass smash of Derek. And
there's a lot of weird stuff in that.
There's some
one.
greasy stuff in that match. Yeah.
It was fun.
It was fun, but like there was one I was like, whoa, this one is.
It was perfect for that atmosphere.
It was perfect for that atmosphere, and it would have been probably even weirder if Super Oprah was not incarcerated at the time.
Which we had not told people, but Faye Jackson.
No, I did.
So you did. I know we didn't. We didn't tell anybody, but you get out there and we let you know.
Power
what
to the
happens.
People, free Super Oprah chant.
Yeah.
Free
Hey
Super
guys,
Oprah.
free Super Oprah, and everybody's like, "What the fuck happened to Super Oprah?"
So, I want to circle back a little bit. Do you feel power, that power of realizing independent wrestling and being independent? Like, do you understand the power of that now that you've kind of figured out the formula?
I understand the power of it because there are so many people that watch independent wrestling, and I don't think wrestlers have capitalized on that yet.
Right.
And not only are there people that watch, there are people that I could tweet stuff just being Faye Jackson about like some creep shit, and people can vanity search some creep shit and they can find, I got followers that don't even watch wrestling, but because I talk about some creep shit like Gray Sweatpants, I got so many people that followed me off of the Gray Sweatpants that didn't watch wrestling but then realized that I was actually doing a show off of it, and they're like, oh shit, well I wish I was in Florida to see it because I'll just come just to watch that.
And
so it opened
that's
their
what
eyes
wrestling's
to a
all
new
about.
Opportunity.
That's what wrestling is all about, especially at the independent level, is getting those non-wrestling fans. And I think that's what's so great about independent wrestling is it's like a melting pot of, you get the WWE fans, you get the independent wrestling fans, you get the person that just wants to go out and get drunk for the night and they have no fucking idea what they're going to watch. And there is a power behind that.
I had someone in Florida that sold sex toys. And they were like, can we set up a booth at your show? Like, I know nothing about wrestling, but it seems like it's going to be a lot of girls that want some excitement after the show.
Yeah,
So
your experience with getting sponsors and things like that for that show, by the way, not the general experience that we have getting sponsors.
Yeah, we have an awful time getting sponsors, and we do everything pretty above board. There's no gray sweatpants or wet t-shirts or anything like that. And it's real hard to get the sponsors.
I was actually kind of shocked and happy, satisfied at the same time of the people that came out and reached out to me. It's like, hey, this seems like a cool ass show. Do you mind if I can sponsor it? And at the same time, I was reaching out to different companies and saying, hey, this is probably a long shot, but it's either you're going to tell me yes or no, but I am running a pro wrestling show, and it's basically off of Gray Sweatpants, which is a novelty. It's going to be geared towards women, and this is how many people, because I know how to write things. So
you're going to have to forward your proposal
Yeah.
when you're done.
We need some help on that.
Last year at Wrestlemania, there was over like 300,000 fans in the area that not only attended WrestleMania had over 80,000, because remind you, I worked at MetLife Stadium, so I know how many people it could fit. And I was like, it had over 80,000 fans just from that came and came to the event from all over the world. Then there's additional 200,000 fans that just come to be in the area for that week. So you're capitalizing on new opportunities from people from around the world. And that was just like a snippet of my
I think Faye
proposal
Jackson
to
is the new
people.
director of marketing for Absolute Intense Wrestling.
She's definitely great at the writing. It's
What kind of
Like I
percent
said,
What kind of
I have a
percentage deal?
degree.
what kind of percentage deal were you talking about here?
Look, I have a degree, so
Yeah, my degree's in marketing, but it's more like the creative side of things like that. So
You need a per diem. What do you
different
need?
element.
hey, look, if I can get you some sponsors, give me at least 15%. I don't ask for much.
All right.
I don't ask for-
You heard it here
Yeah.
first, folks. The new director
There it
of
is.
marketing. We better get like.
So I sent that same proposal to Blue
Yeah.
Chew,
Did you get some
Blue-
Blue
yeah.
Chew money?
and I got Blue Chew money. Shout out to Blue Chew
Wow,
again.
Blue Chew didn't write us back.
They did not write us back.
Because I didn't expect. I just looked up the fact that they had something at StarCast and they were helping out AEW, and I'm like, look, I don't know if you're going to be in the area, but hey,
I would have put him on the
if you
canvas for a
mind
couple free pills.
Yeah, did you have a direct contact to the Blue Chew, or did you just go to their website?
You get any samples?
I went to the website. I did it professionally. I went to the website, and they told me only because Blue Chew has to be a prescribed medicine, they couldn't give us samples. Because I just asked for like samples or something. But I was like, I do also have different tiers of sponsorship opportunities if you want it. And they signed up for a tier. Bam.
Man, they didn't even write us. Didn't even write us back.
Josh Bishop has fans bring him Blue Chew for his matches.
Oh, Lord have mercy.
Allegedly.
And that's not alleged. He requests it on Twitter all the time. He says, shower me in Blue Chews. These fucking kids, they're going to fuck up their bodies, you know. He's going to need Blue Chews a lot sooner than later, probably.
And I will say I did have a porn company that reached out to me actually last minute. And I was like, well, the show's actually canceled. And they was like, well, we just saw your proposal, and we were seeing if everything was still going down. They were based in Florida, too.
Who was it?
Was it Gangrel's old porn company?
No,
Yeah.
no. He had a
That would have
porn
been
company?
awesome.
Wait.
Yeah. He like directed them or something. Yeah.
Where do you think that fangin' and bangin' slogan came from?
He has his energy drink.
What?
He's got an energy drink. He directed porn.
Yeah, he used to direct porn, though, for real. That's shit.
Yeah, that's
Yo,
real deal.
live your best life. That's dope. More power to him. Live your best life.
Yeah,
Wow,
he's
this is
as a vampire and porn director, he is the original wrestling Twitter After Dark.
Well, he needs to hop back on then.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've kind of... I feel you are directly responsible for the Twitter After Dark. I think the Gray Sweatpants thing, I think that loosened people up a little bit, and, the quarantine just pushed them all over the edge.
I will say I did not come up with the actual tweets of wrestling Twitter After Dark.
I'm not saying that you did, but I'm saying that I think that you pushed people towards it. I'm saying, you are... you would be on the Mount Rushmore of Twitter After Dark. We'll say that.
Me and AJ Gray.
Poor AJ Gray.
You didn't like.
I yelled
don't
at
know how
him.
to explain it.
I was like, I actually tweeted, "What the fuck is going on?" Because I was not on Twitter for like a couple hours, and then like I'm looking and I'm scrolling, and I just see like AJ Gray with just like a boner and in my feed. No, he was just like in his underwear, just with a boner, and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, what is happening? What is happening? And I feel you are 100% responsible for that.
Well, I'll take it because for the simple fact, I think people are beautiful. And if you're comfortable, I see it as a confidence booster. If you're comfortable to show yourself off, then shit, show yourself off.
It just caught me a little off guard. That's all I'm saying. I did not expect to see AJ Gray fully torqued on my Twitter feed.
Hey, according to AJ, it was only 75%. 75%.
So he
See,
says.
I didn't even get to ask him all that either because I love AJ as a brother. So I wanted him to be a part of the show, of course, but at the same time, I wasn't trying to look at that because I look at him as a little brother.
Yeah, that's
I'm
fair.
good.
That's fair.
There you go.
I'm like, you can go, but I will definitely help you try to get some, PUSSY that weekend.
Oh,
And
we're
that
getting a
show will
little
help
X-rated now.
Because
Here it
I
comes.
did have girls that made special requests for certain men in this battle royal that was announced, and I was like, "Look, all I'm gonna do is shoot your shot when you get to the show."
Who were can you tell us the special requests?
Are the girls who are requesting? Are they in the industry? Are they
No,
just regular girls?
They were fans. Yeah.
They were fans. Can you
And they were
share?
cute.
Can you share the special request, or do you want to keep that quiet? Boost the
What?
egos of some of these guys. Not that they probably don't need it, but
Asked me about Chris Bay and if he needed a oil woman to put like oil on. And I was like, I don't want any of the wrestlers in the ring all oiled up because that just seems like something terrible that's going to happen. But, you know.
Seems like you could have sold a special tier ticket to just oil people up.
yeah.
I was like, but afterwards, you know, if you want to go ahead. And I had decided after the show, because there was plenty of requests of women wanting to take pictures of the guys, or take pictures with them in their gray sweatpants. So that was going to be like my final announcement. Like, hey, there's going to be a photo opportunity after the show with your favorite wrestler to take a picture with them in the ring in their gray sweatpants.
Look at you, ever the businesswoman.
Yeah, such an entrepreneur when it comes to, I don't know, lewd things, I guess.
I think you got to take this idea on the Shark Tank, maybe.
So they be like, get the fuck out of here. But unfortunately, it didn't happen this Mania. Maybe next Mania, I'll try to think of some bigger and better things to do. I told my guys, I was like, look, nobody lost the booking, that's for sure. Unless you get signed. If you get signed, then you can't be in it, of course.
Next Mania out in LA, so you might get some porn companies that come there trying to get some contracts themselves. Who knows?
Hey, you never know. Hey, if they paying well for and the guys take it, that's on them. They ain't on me.
Don't even put that idea in AJ Gray's head.
Well, this was fun. See, I think that you were unsure of coming on here and how this would go and result. But look at this. We've been talking for over an hour. You didn't even know it, probably.
No, I didn't even realize it.
Just get you talking about dick prints in gray sweatpants, and you just yak. That's all we need.
I think this one's just going to be called X-Rated with Faye Jackson.
Go ahead, do it, and watch your follower count go up. Like,
yeah, we're trying to get those ratings.
We're gonna have to release it late at night instead of on a Monday morning like we usually do.
What do those kids call it? We're trying to get the clout, you know?
Look, everybody's at home, and if they got this blasted out loud for some reason and their kids are around, that's on them.
All right, we'll bring this home. Faye Jackson, is there anything else you want to push or put out there?
Plugs?
Well, you know, since there's no shows going on for quite a while, it's all good. But I would love to come back to AIW when I can. And also...
and UXWA, we'll get you a double shot.
Yeah, bam, there we go. UXWA. What else is out in Cleveland? That's it, right?
That's pretty much it.
That's it. Yeah, that's
Those
it.
are the important ones.
Mega.
Yeah.
Jeff Traxler.
Yeah, Mega. Well, is he still going to be running? I don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
I'm sure.
It'll be all right.
Shout out to Mega too. But let's see. My social media, of course, follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all up under the same name, Faye Jackson 419. Buy my merch. Go to fayejackson.bigcartel.com. And my Patreon for all my creeps out there that want to see what's if y'all about that life, subscribe to my Patreon, patreon.com/FayeJackson419.
I think I'm gonna have to get on there with an alias though. I don't want you to know.
You wouldn't be the first one. You will get discovered, but you wouldn't be the first one. Trust me.
Well, all right. There you go. That about sums it up for John Thorne, for Faye Jackson. My name's Steve Guy. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. And we'll talk to you next week right here on AIW's The Card is Going to Change.